to be able to do that has been amazing for me because I understand what it's like to stay up all night, like working on your financial documents. I know what it's like when you are late to turn in the RFP because you need this piece of business to keep growing. Like I've been at the biggest places and I've been at like the bottom of the well when you feel like you're alone and you gotta like gut it out and pull it through. And now to be able to have something to offer women who are like me, who really want to perform and want to be seen for that performance, to be able to build that platform for women has forever changed the trajectory of my career. I couldn't be more proud.
Welcome back to the Bombshell Business Podcast. I'm your host, Amber Hurdle, and you know how much I love branding and also that I love sports. I wasn't somebody who played sports. I'm definitely an athlete. I was a cheerleader. I was on the dance team in high school, and I am very much been more about like individual sports as an adult. So you will find me kayaking. I like anybody who is competitive in their nature, who has a team spirit. I'm incredibly super excited to go to that combination of branding and sports with today's guest. So let me tell you all about her. Valerie has over 20 years of B2B and B2C experience working with best-in-class global brands and sports properties and talent. She's a proven expert in brand strategy, digital media, integrated marketing, branded content, consumer insights, and business. She has worked with several Fortune 1000 companies, sports leagues, teams, professional athletes, and entertainment properties, including the NBA's Charlotte Bobcats and the Arena Football League's Los Angeles Avengers. Prior to starting her own agency, Tyson served as Vice President of Digital at IMG, Vice President of Marketing and Digital Performance at BRANDTHINK, and Director of Client Services at, I'm going to have her say this for us, but it's Tocquigny. Currently, we're gonna correct that in a hot minute, okay? Currently, Valerie serves as head of strategy in sports at Unrivaled Group, and I invite you to welcome Miss Valerie Tyson to the Bombshell Business Podcast. What's up, Valerie?
Hi, how are you, Amber? Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Do you want to correct my murdering of that brand name that I butchered?
It was a digital agency called Tocquigny. It was a person's last name, so I had to learn that myself, but I'm sure that was not the first time anyone's pronounced it like that. So I think that's acceptable.
Yeah, usually I do like phonetic spelling when I get the one sheet and everything, but I missed that one. So I apologize.
No, don't worry.
So Valerie and I were having a pre-recording conversation. I was like, we got to stop because this is all such good juice. Like we have to start recording. There's so much to unpack and we have like 30 minutes and I need you to just move in and we'll just keep talking. Take me back to your sports background. Let's just start there. How did you get from there to where you are now? Let's just get to the branding part. Let's not get to the juicy part. But how did you go from sports to branding?
Well, it's funny. I went to school. I thought I was going to be a magazine writer. So my degrees are in journalism and political science. I thought I was going to be like a, political reporter for CNN or something. And write like all these prolific things about presidents. I don't know what I thought. But one of my first full-time jobs out of college was working for Howard Stern. And so I know, so that's like so opposite of that. It's like the non-political path. But I worked on all of his promotions, marketing, and sales support for the West Coast. And so it was like meeting all these different celebrities. But what was ironic is that our AM sister station that carried the Howard Stern show, they were the home of the LA Kings hockey team. And Staples Center was being built at that time. And so I was doing marketing for the station to, branding, like on-air promotions and events. But we did a lot of work with the LA Kings, and the people on the AM station didn't like working in sports. So they said, like, hey, if you want to go and help or do these events. And I met the then CMO of the LA Kings, and he said, hey, there's a new LA football team, arena football team coming. They're looking for a VP of marketing and branding. You should apply. And I got the job. It was my first job in sports. I didn't know anything about sports. There's a ragtag team of people who are still my best friends to this day. Some work at this company now at Unrivaled with me. And we became the top performing arena football team in the entire league in a city that had lost like 3 or 4 sports teams. And it was trying to put together, campaigns that would actually get people in LA to be interested and paying off on the promise of the best experience. It's indoor football. We're going to lose 13 footballs a game. Really kind of outrageous branding and marketing that you probably couldn't use today, but it was what you had to do to break through in that market at the time. And we set the standard for the entire, we sold more beer than the Lakers for a little arena football team. And when I first recognized that, I've never thought about myself being the only person, like woman in the room, one of the few women in the room. There are several of us on my team, but I remember going to a meeting at Staples Center, and the only other woman in the room was Jeannie Buss, the owner president of the LA Lakers, and she made them rearrange the table so I could sit next to her, so she could just kind of show me how things were going to roll. And from that moment on, I was like, I pick up little things of things I should do and things I should not do in life and my career. And learning from her, I've always tried to find someone who looked like me or struggling or wanted to kind of find the other woman in the room and help bring them along. So that's how I started in sports, arena football.
And you just watched a girl crush get birthed. That's
Oh.
fantastic. And I can say, so I'm from Orange County, California, before I moved to the greater Nashville area where I spent a lot of time. But as a child up into high school, I was there, and there's a lot of sports drama in the LA area.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that you were able to do that with arena football, which I attended in Nashville, we had the Cats, and I loved it. It's so fun. But that's impressive, because you had a lot of competition and also a lot of maybe fatigue with all the different sports leagues that were shifting and changing, and the Rams and just like everything was kind of a little bit of a mess. But hockey was hot. So if you're
the LA Kings were hot, and we were in the premier building at the time, so we were probably also the most affordable option to see something with a family, for sure, family 4-pack at Staples Center, the brand new arena at that time. I remember I'd go up to the arena and I'd see people who'd taken the bus to go see a Lakers game and they couldn't afford it or was sold out. I'd always keep Avengers tickets in my pocket to make sure, like, hey, I know you can't come see this, but come back for our game. So I think that helped in our favor, but we also delivered on the promise. Like, it was exciting, smash football. Like, players would fall into the stands. We'd lose like a dozen plus footballs. One of our best ad campaigns for the Avengers was we ended up partnering with the Organ Donors Association, because it was like, if you bring your if you're going to sit in the front row, you're going to need this. So the picture of an organ donor card. And we had this whole racy campaign leading up to it. I remember walking back into the office one day, and they're like, Valerie, the president of the Organ Donors Association is on the phone for you. I'm like, of course he is, because we did this. And he called, and I was like, I'm sorry. Like, we thought this would be funny. Like, it's really like smash off football. We're really not harvesting organs or whatever. And he's like, no, I just want to know if we can put organ donor cards on all the front row seats. He's like, I think this is hilarious. And like, we ended up being partners with them for the season. So
that's awesome.
Just kind of leaning into it, and like the exciting, like, we'd have like post-game concerts, and we'd have great trailers for movies that no one had seen yet on the big screen. Like, we had family friendly. The concourse had tons of stuff on it. Our brand partners, the activations, like, we had to work harder to keep big partners like Budweiser and Universal and all these big brands. So we had to outperform. And that's where I really learned that performance is the most important metric in anything in life. It's like how you perform. And so for me, like, you said, like, I played a little bit of soccer in college, and that was kind of it. So I'm more like an athletic supporter, but it's like the heart of a champion. So whether you work in a team or you're on the field or court or pitch or whatever you play, there is a cadence and a rhythm to that teamwork.
That's
and like,
right.
I get up every day like with the heart of a champion. Like, I don't know how to come to work and not be the best version of myself. And for me, as I've grown as a leader, that's the one thing too. I think it's an Achilles heel. Like, I don't know how to teach effort. Like, yeah. I tell people, like, I know you may or may not love what we're doing here, but I promise if you come here, I will make you the most prepared person at the table or wherever you go next. And so for me, I never understood why people don't like show up every day with the heart of a champion.
Woo! So many good things there. So much good stuff to unpack. The heart of the champion is absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And I can usually tell in a work environment, like, who they aren't, because the athletes do have this competitive, not even necessarily competitive with anybody else, but hyper competitive with themselves. And so that's why I call myself an athlete, because I've ran races and done mini tries and things like that, but it's like, I want to come with my best version of myself, and I don't need any of you to approve of me. I don't need anybody else to validate me. I just need to know that I'm a better version of myself today than yesterday.
It's like me against me, and then me against everybody else.
me against me against my limited thinking, me against my procrastination, me against my kick the can down the road, me against my fear of approaching somebody who can help me, I could go on. How did you go? I mean, like, this was kind of exciting and big, and then you're like, no, let me just add to this little party and start my own business. What?
Well, it was funny. So, after leaving the arena football team, I worked at a small digital sports agency, and then went up to I worked for the Charlotte Bobcats. So working for Michael Jordan, he owned the team. So working for the best athlete in his sport all the time, just him high-fiving or like saying things like, "Hey, couldn't you be doing more? Are you getting better?" Like being in rooms with him where he would just he was a room tilter. Like he could move any room. And then getting to go to IMG and being around some of the best brands. I was also married a Texan during this time. And so he wanted to come back to Texas. And I thought, I may not ever be as big as IMG, but I know that I can put that heart of a champion to work and really try to help brands like exceed their goals, drive business performance. Because as you know, too, in branding, usually agencies sometimes focus on one part or not all. Like I can't not look at like the whole patient when it comes to marketing. And so if someone's like, "Oh, I need you to tweet for me," I'm like, well, it's probably not what you need. So I need to get in. And it's not about even the revenue. It's about getting in and doing the right work.
The right work.
Yeah, like that's really what I wanted to do. That's why I was excited. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to work for anyone that I didn't fully respect and didn't have the heart of a champion. I had to be in Texas, and I wanted to do the right work. And so it was the most terrifying thing. Every part of it, I was terrified. And looking back, I wish I wasn't. But I remember first getting my first 3 co-working seats for my coworkers, or walking out of Apple with 2 computers thinking I was going to get robbed, because who buys 2 laptops at the same time? Because I had 2 employees. So as that grew over time, I got less scarier. The keys to my first office, it was a 5-year lease. Just these things that, and I was like, oh my gosh, what, I know I'll be alive in 5 years. All those little things that you doubt, and then you just kind of lean into the work, and you're like, okay, I need to be like a magnet and pull in all the things that I want to bring into this agency and the right people and the right clients. And it's a grind, and you have to really be dedicated and bring your best self. And it's not for everyone. It's almost impossible to start something from nothing, and it's very hard. And so that's why now, kind of in the new version of Unrivaled Group, we've added in the last 6 months, I've partnered with one of the foremost software developers in the world, who is part of Microsoft Windows 95 engineering team. And another female partner who has she calls herself our nerd. She's like technical security background software, and we have an engine. We have a piece of software that actually connects women to more opportunities in business. And I met them, and they called me up, and they heard about my background. They're like, "We've been looking for someone like you. We're missing that marketing and strategy piece." They're like, "How about we change the world, not just for women in sports, but we change the world for women? We just change the world for women." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do that. That sounds great." And so data democratizes the world of business for women and for the women in sports. So we build ecosystems that are based on an AI engine that vet and score women against their own performance. So whether you're a brand trying to attract more sponsors, or you are a marketing company, a landscaping company, whatever it might be, it's based on your own performance. So if you want to kick ass, it's on you. It's you against you. And the better you perform within our system, the more opportunity you get to bigger contract. Because one of the things I've learned through this is, grinding away over the last 20 years doing marketing. When I partnered with my partners today, they were like, "Don't worry about that. We have a team, but you don't have to be responsible for everything. You need to tell women how you built your career and what you did, and now how we can help them to do that differently." Because there's nothing more important than women building their own wealth right now.
Amen.
You and I are talking about that a little bit. And if I can help women find a better way to compete outside that, that good old boys network, all the men getting the construction contracts. And at first I was scared. I'm like, "Oh, I'm not in sports anymore." But if you think of any sports ecosystem, there's an arena being built, there's suppliers that are needed. Why can't the women bring all the toilet paper or the steel or they are just
I work in the construction industry. That's one of my core industries. I love it. You know why? Because I'm the captain of Team Keep It Real, and you know where they keep it real? The construction industry.
Right.
It's perfect match for my personality. But oh, look, I'm a woman. But you know what?
Right.
It doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
They're going to these old boys networks they use forever, and we're like, screw that. We're going to democratize sports and business for women using data and against their own performance. So if you don't want to be a top performer, we're probably not for you. I joke, I am not for everyone, but if you don't want to, if you're not a top performer, this probably isn't for you. But if you want to build your own generational wealth and compete. And, and from the corporate side, to be honest too, corporations now have to spend between 15 and 20% of their supply chain has to be with women and minority suppliers. And so, and during COVID, when all the loans and the proof of performance of those things kind of went haywire, in 2025 now, every company has to actually digitally prove that they are using diverse suppliers. And we have the only software that actually does that for the corporations. So corporations come to us and they're like, heck yeah, we want the best women and minority performers. And our women are like, we can do these jobs. We're ready. Like, we're going to crush this for you. And so bringing together the best of business, the best of small business, women-owned businesses, and the best of corporations in a way that they could both perform and increase their performance and have more visibility into what they're doing along their supply chain. And in sports, like using that same methodology to help build a female athlete, property, a league, a team. You can put anything into our ecosystem. So it's just connecting the right pieces so we can build more intelligent brands. And that's what we always say, is that we build intelligent brands based on, on data.
I'm crushing so hard right now. I can't even help myself. So we were swapping statistics pre-show. Can we unpack some of those for a couple of reasons? One, I don't think the average woman understands the power that women have and are about to have. And I want to educate our male listeners, our loving Bombshell boys. We love you so much. We so appreciate you walking alongside of us and encouraging us. I want to educate them for their own knowledge, for their daughters, for their sisters, for their female employees, colleagues, why we're having these conversations. So just like statistically, we talked about like future wealth, we talked about decision making. Can you run down those same stats for us?
85% of all household decisions are made by women. So in the world of sports, people will come to us and like, hey, we're selling our bro soccer tickets to these guys. And then I'm like, have you looked at your ticket numbers? And they say no. And I look, and it's moms, it's middle-aged women buy tickets. So we're driving decision power in business and groceries and banking. Women now make 43% of all the household banking decisions. So they are in control of the money making those decisions. And within, I believe it's the next decade, I want to make sure I get this right. Next decade, women will control 2/3 of all the wealth in this country. I mean, so we are out there, and it's interesting because we also talked about how at the same time we have more control because we all know like wealth equals power. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes women are afraid of that, and like those days have to be over. Like we have to lean, and that's the power that we look at. Hey, lean into your power. The power is like if you were a top performer, you can build your own wealth. And I think that's super exciting for now that women can, that we have a platform that women can do that in. But all women, no matter what they're doing, like run your own race, like bet on yourself and generate your own wealth. And this is not you thinking it's possible. Like this is really the shift that's happening now. And to be comfortable with doing that, because men have been doing it all this time, we have to be comfortable to do it and just be like, I don't know if this is okay. It's like a Ted Lasso thing. Like we have to be boss ass bitches. Like
that's right.
We have to like. If there's nothing, I always joke like Sudeikis Waddingham 2024 for like our presidential election, but like to lean into that, to have like you talk about the male allies and the women doing that. We're driving the train, and we have to own that and be secure in that and build our own generational wealth. And what's funny about that, all these bosses in the C-suites of the world, 95% of all women have played competitive sports who are in the C-suite. Of that 95, 57% played D1 sports, proving that also like that's why we tie, why we think business and sports or business and sports are good things to tie together. Some of your top performers are those athletes, or like you said, that competitive heart of a champion where they played some kind of competitive sport. They know how to be good teammates. They know how to hustle. They know putting in the reps delivers like the best work. That it's not just like if you show up for game time, like you showboat, your teammate falls down, your opponent falls down, you pick them up. It's like how you behave. And so that's how we like setting the table, these top performers in both business and sports. I mean, and also, we've seen too with women's sports, the rise of women's sports. The problem had always been, an outlet wouldn't carry the game because a big brand wouldn't sponsor the league or the team. And then athletes like would get less exposure, less brand, and then they'd go play off season overseas. Right. So now finally seeing that realization of another area where we can actually help continue to empower women to grow wealth is in sports. As you've seen lately through the NCAA and the recent WNBA draft, that they may not make the WNBA players might not make the highest grossing salaries, but they are going to make up for that in the revenue off support.
Sure, and the sponsorships and
Mhm.
endorsements and whatnot, yeah. So, okay, I'm just like, I feel like I'm gonna need a cigarette after this podcast interview because it's so much, it's so good. So, can we get a little bit deeper into the Unrivaled Group strategy now? So before you were more of a traditional brand agency, and now you have this technology. So we have all of these decisions that are being made. We understand that we need women to influence. We need women's perspectives because we're not going after male decision makers anymore. So to have just nothing but a male C-suite and nothing but male contractors and nothing but male is really actually asinine at this point. And it's foolish. It's foolish. And I will add, if you're a first time listener too, just so that you know, I'm a daddy's girl. I'm a boy mom. I have a fantastic partner in my life. And my whole point behind the Bombshell Business Women community is to see and support strong women for who they are, who they can become, not at the expense of men, but for the benefit of all. And that's what we're here talking about. So just to clarify that, we ain't man haters. We like our
No,
men. Okay.
it takes all those male allies to help too, because they are currently in a lot of positions. Like when I look at it through the lens of sports, and I really, for the last 20 years, it was really hardcore looking at it through the lens of sports. Like, how do we have more endorsements for women? I'd represent female athletes, and there was way less interest than male athletes, and it was so frustrating. I'd go to some of these major corporations, but like in the leagues that were taking off with women, and they're like, "We're gonna watch it for a few years first and see if it takes off." And I'm like, "Well, like it's the highest TV ratings. They've sold out. Like, what do we have to prove?" So to
Yeah.
finally see that tide changing, there's a lot of work to be done. So I was doing traditional marketing and trying to solve those problems through the traditional marketing lens. Can I put together better sponsorships? Can I develop better ticket strategies? Can I come up with clever campaigns that would help make people come? Kind of like as a throwback to my old, how I started my career. And I was on a podcast, I think, talking about like, I really wish I could make a bigger difference. Like it's my obligation. I had this amazing life. I worked with some of the top athletes and seen their performance, women who invited me into the room. I never felt different until I looked back and I'm like, oh yeah, I was the only woman. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that like male
Always
ally
a token
defended
female.
me. Yeah, I was like, oh, I didn't realize it. But a lot of people had it much worse. And so like to act like it, and it didn't act like it didn't happen. It just didn't happen to me. And so I thought, what can I do to like help prepare women or make them feel like I never thought about it that way again. It was just me against me and me against whatever the rest of the, I had to compete with everybody. And so I was on this podcast and the host was like, oh, you should meet this engineer. He developed Windows 95. I'm like, oh, I did nothing like that. He's going to be highly unimpressed with me. I know a lot about sports. And she put us on an email thread that afternoon. And you know, when you get those conversations with people and you give them like 25 times you could potentially meet and that won't work out. He's like, no, I want to meet you in the next 5 minutes. And we got on the phone. He's like, here's what we're doing. I built the software. He's like, I have 3 daughters. He's like, he's like, I have an incredible wife. He's like, I want to change, like, I've done all these great things in software, but my mission now to the end of my life is to help make the world a better place for women. And he's like, how about if I could pair up with you? Why don't we change? He's like, how does it sound to you to change the world for not only women in business, for women in sports? And I was like, let's do it. Like, that's awesome. And it wasn't something, and so like we still do traditional branding services, but the first thing is like, you have to know your own data. Like what the athletes we would work with, they didn't know the power of their own data. They really didn't know their reach. They were getting numbers from all these disparate places. Well, we build these ecosystems where you own and kind of gate off your own data. And you can find out like who's the best sponsor partner for you. Or in the case of women who are in construction, like, hey, I need to get some steel contracts. Great, join our ecosystem. And there's a lot of corporations out there looking to find the top performing suppliers. And our supply chain right now is focused on women. So we can bring the top performing businesses to this ecosystem. And then within our marketplace, everything can be contracted. It's safe. We are certified at the highest level for data. Like we're partnered with Microsoft, Stripe, and JP Morgan Chase Bank, which I was not before this. And so we have like the backing of the highest people who are like raising their hand and saying, bring more women and minorities into this. And we have the platform that can do it. And also like there's kind of some sass to it. Like we're not for everybody. Like you have to like, if you want to succeed,
get after it,
perform, you don't walk into this ecosystem and get anything handed to you. It's how you perform, because the algorithm of our AI software will then rank and score you against the contracts that you perform against. So if you half-ass it, you're going to get a half-ass score. If you are crushing it, you're going to keep rising and more suppliers are going to want to, like, it's like filling your own funnel without having to make 1,000 phone calls a day. It's based on your own performance.
Obviously there's so many of my listeners are female business owners, and I'm sure they're like me, just like, wait, what? Huh? What are you doing? This is insanity, like in a good way. How does somebody enter your ecosystem? What do they do to ensure that they get a chance to do me versus me and get the data to show that they're, that's a rule in my life. You cannot be in my inner circle unless you get after it. If you're not somebody who gets after it, I have no time for you. I move way too fast. I'm going to annoy you. You will annoy me. You cannot be in my inner circle.
100%. It doesn't work. And I have a shirt, like not everybody is for everybody, and that's okay. So there's a portion of our website, it's called unrivaledwomen.com. And it's our portal where women can register their businesses and talk about what they do, whether they sell toilet paper, which I don't know why that's my go-to example of time, steel, marketing, advertising, like any discipline. You register your business and we match you with corporate contracts. So if there's if a big corporation, I don't want to name any, but if a big corporation is looking for someone to help them with their marketing, like you get connected and you bid for that business, and everything is housed contractually within our system. And as you perform against those contracts that you win, you get a score. And those corporations, when they're looking for the next pick, the next thing they need, as you get scored throughout our model, they can see who the top performers are. And obviously, everyone wants, like you said, wants to work with top performers. So I hope that I hope a lot of people come visit unrivaledgroup.com and unrivaledwomen.com and sign up. There are different tiers. There's a free tier. It's all very affordable. Everything's under $25. To get contracted to like these big contracts. So we are putting up a new page, I think, next week, the next couple of weeks. So you'll see all the tiers and how to get involved. And the meetings that we're having now with corporations, we're adding more corporations every day, and they couldn't be more excited. They're like, if you're bringing the best of the best, we're here. Like, it's not even like a question of whether they want to be in. It's how soon can we get in? We need these suppliers now.
Well, it's like the pedigree too of your team. Of course you're all butt kickers, and I want to use another word, but of course
I thought I was a butt kicker, and then I met my teammates, and they kick my butt some days. So
I love that.
It's like the plus up that I needed for a while, because we could also get complacent in what we do. Like, I was happy having a 100% referral business. People knew me, they liked me. It was sports teams and leagues and athletes, and I was very comfortable doing that. And then when I was like, let's do something different, I'm like, I can't ever talk about supply chain. And look what we just talked about. But that supply chain is also applicable to what I did before, because athletes want to be at the center of their data and how they get more endorsements to grow well. How do they figure out if their endorsements are hitting? Like, how do they really break down their social data? Like, are they doing a great job on TikTok? Should they never make a video again? I think until you really have that data, you're just flying blind. And so we could still do that, like, with some of the traditional agency services. But we want people who are like, I'm building a new facility for this team, and we want the best suppliers, but also we want the best marketing. We want like all of our tickets to sell out. We want to sell out like all of our concessions and all of our parking, whatever it might be, any component of a sports organization, team, or league. We can put that into an ecosystem, and they have dashboards like in their pocket that can tell them how they're performing or where they're underperforming, where they need to spend more attention. So women in our ecosystem also have those dashboards, so you'll know how you're doing and how many contracts you've been exposed to. All in your hand with our app. So our app is launching mid-May, and so we just launched our new rebrand from Unrivaled Group, traditional agency, to this powerhouse software company at the WeBank conference about a month ago now.
Oh wow!
In Denver. So it was great to see the reaction from the women, and all the corporates are there who are very excited about it. And it was great. I'd walk up to women, I'm like, "Are you owning your own business?" And some were meek and some were not. And I was like, is your bank taking any more money? Like, do you want to, drive more wealth, do more business? Well, of course. So then you need to sign up. Like, so I don't think there's never been a better time. Corporations have this responsibility to have these diverse suppliers, and women who are really bringing it have an opportunity to crush and build wealth beyond their dreams now.
Sign me up. So publicly on some of the Bombshell Business Podcast, will you be my friend? Check yes or no, because I'm obsessed with you right now.
Check yes. Slide the note back before the teacher comes by.
I'm going to unfold it. I'm going to do the thingy. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm doing the thingy where we used to have the little things that we pulled back.
I love those. Those are the best.
The pull tab on the note that you pass. Like, man, text messaging blows for everyone. We had so much cooler stuff to do back in the day. But anyways,
I might have to build that Unrivaled Women store and have one of those in there. I don't know. We'll have to, like, come up with some merch or something.
That'd be amazing. Amazing. So I don't want to end this conversation. Promise me you're going to be my friend.
Oh my gosh, 100%. And if there's anything that I can think about, like, I ran it was easy. It was easier being at a big company when you have this huge support. So I really understand how hard it is to build something from nothing. Like, it's crushing. You cry. You think you're going to fail every day. That doesn't sound empowered, but like, you're responsible for other people. Like, one day I realized,
and their livelihood.
I'm responsible for 12 people's Netflix accounts, their lunch, their date night. Like, when you start to break it down, like, that's not a good way. Don't do that, by the way. But like, if you ever caught up in that moment and you do that, and then to now be able to flip the switch to be able to affect women's wealth and their livelihood, like in sports and in business, to be able to do that has been amazing for me, because I understand what it's like to stay up all night, like working on your financial documents. I know what it's like when you are late to turn in the RFP because you need this piece of business to keep growing. Like, I've been at the biggest places, and I've been at like the bottom of the well when you feel like you're alone and you gotta like gut it out and pull it through. And now to be able to have something to offer women who are like me, who really want to perform and want to be seen for that performance, to be able to build that platform for women, has forever changed the trajectory of my career. I couldn't be more proud.
I couldn't think of a better way to just end the interview portion and segue into where we can get with you. And of course, I always have my final question that I ask everybody, and it's definitely a listener favorite. So, to find you, we're going to go to the LinkedIn, where there are no cat videos or TikTok dances, and we do business on social media. So we can find the Unrivaled Group there. It's the Unrivaled Group, all one word. And then you can also find Valerie Tyson, and you will find that she will be my friend on there as well. So
the only friend.
Yeah, and no one else matters in my LinkedIn except for Valerie. So it's VALERIETYSON. That is also all going to be in the show notes. Go to amberhurdle.com/podcast with an S. You know where to find it, and look for Valerie's episode. You can find all of these links. And then also go to unrivaledgroup.com/contact if you want to reach out that way. Did I miss anything? Is there anywhere
Unrivaled
else?
Women. You can also go to unrivaledwomen.com. It's like, if you don't remember anything else, Unrivaled Women, because who doesn't want to be unrivaled?
Yeah, no kidding. Unrivaledwomen.com. I'm bookmarking that now. Time for the final question.
Hey, I'm ready.
It could be anything. It could be about branding. It could be about tech. It could be about women in business. It could be about just your life lessons or being an entrepreneur, whatever you want to say. What is that parting piece of advice if a woman walks away from this podcast taking this one thing? What is that piece of advice you'd give to Bombshell, a bold, brave, unwaveringly confident woman in business?
I'd say, 1, be that woman like the Bombshell who believes in herself. But 2, be that Bombshell that builds a personal board of directors around herself.
Ooh.
And that board of directors might not be forever. It may be for a season. Everyone's not for everyone, like I said. But you have to have someone who can be a mirror to you, who will be your biggest. I always talk about good teams. Whoever has the loudest bench just cheering is the better team, no matter what the score on the court or the field, because they are supporting other people. Mm-hmm. And so build that personal board of directors to be a mirror, to tell you to hold you to truth, to hold you accountable, to hold you when you cry, because everyone has those moments, and to hold you up when you win. And again, it could be for a time, and it's not just mentors, people you want to help pull you along. It's people who will actually help you and who are your friends and care about seeing where you go. And that is very different than people in business who you think are your friend. I've learned, I like everyone I worked with, they're all my friends. Then you find out when you need them, they're really not. So build that personal board of directors that can help you see that, and do that at an early age. So for any of the young bombshells, start early. Don't wait. Start. And those people you start with may not be with you forever. Life changes. Things change for people. And that's okay. Like, there's no ill will about that. As you grow, other people grow. You grow in and out of people. But build it today to help. It will help empower you. And I would say, obviously, like our bombshell boys that we're talking about today, you need those people too, but also strong women, because sometimes we women fight each other, and we don't need to fight each other. We need to lift each other up. And when the crown is crooked, you fix it and don't say a thing.
That's right.
That's all we need to do with these personal board of directors. And frankly, we should be treating each other better as women in business. We may be competing on lots of levels, but it's not as a woman to woman. It's in our business and what we're doing. but build that personal board of directors and support women in every turn.
I love that. So I got to give a shout out to Kirby, Tiffany, and Brittany back in Nashville. I miss y'all. I love y'all. You're my spiritual board of directors. And then I got to give a shout out to the House of Baddies. And you know who you are in that VR space. We are all a bunch of baddies, and it is a daily conversation of how to stay on track and growing and abundant. And it's a brilliant community. So I could not agree with you more. I've said this 100 times, but I often say that, my life is just a beautiful quilt that so many different people have put their little patches and sewn it into my quilt that covers me with warmth and protection. And that is what my life is all about. It is not something I created on my own. There's no way I could have created it on my own. It is a beautiful reflection of those contributions. So I love your final piece of advice. Thank you for that.
I love the quilt example. I think that's amazing too. I didn't see it that way, but it makes a lot of sense. That makes me feel good. I like that.
Yeah, it's grow up in the South. You'll learn about some quilting, I'll tell you. But anyways, well, not necessarily grow up, but high school and beyond. So, gosh, Bombshell, obviously you want to follow this brilliant woman. I just feel like I want to go run on a treadmill now or something to get all the energy out that she's brought to this podcast. And be sure to share this. I say this every single time. Share it with the Bombshell. That's how we keep our Bombshell community alive and well, is by sharing information and showing people the resources that they can have and the ideas and the concepts and all of that stuff. But this one's a game changer. If you know a woman in business, I don't care who you are, you need to be sending this out to them, because this is an opportunity. This is ground level. I am a beta person because I know when I see stuff like this, my intuition tells me this is it. You get on board and you thrive. Take a risk. Bet on yourself. Be your competitive best self against you. Me versus me is the way to go every single day. And I will see you on the next episode.